or, well, I should say excuse me. The consistency in shooting is not there. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Penalty Loop Podcast, a podcast about biathlon by Jordan Gottschalk from Penalty Loop and a regular guest, RJ Weiss from Biathlon Analytics.
Good evening, RJ. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing quite well. I've had a busy day with all sorts of things, but especially some woodwork that I didn't anticipate. But
yeah, I was going to say, you sent me some pictures. You were working pretty hard, making quite the mess.
Yeah, I people may have seen it. I did that post on Biathlon, but actually I got a few compliments on or comments and a compliment on the Lego idea, because it is pretty hard to find the right setup if you just are just starting and you have your basic setup for a rifle, and then everything is expensive and you have to wait for it for 6 weeks to arrive and that kind of thing. So it's not as simple as just going to a shop and trying 5 things out and picking the one that fits for you. So I got this Lego thing, so at least I got to find the right height by just adding a block or two, and I don't know, it was easy, or it was fun to do, but it's also an easy and affordable way for people to do that as well. And then today I realized that my Lego block was still on there, and I have biathlon tomorrow, and I didn't really want to show up there with a bunch of blocks of Duplo that were falling off all the time. So I tried a lot of things, polymer clay and metal connectors and stuff, and in the end I just ended up with doing some woodwork. So hopefully that will work tomorrow.
So in the middle of all your woodworking, did you get a chance to watch some biathlon?
I actually did, yes. I have been struggling with the time. Just, it's not in my rhythm. I woke up at 3:30 at some point. I think it was Saturday morning. I was like, oh, I might as well just go watch biathlon. And I was already halfway to the living room, and then I realized that it was crazy late. This whole World Championship. So
yeah, I'm so used to. So I complain, right, that it's early for Eastern Standard Time, but for Mountain Time, it's super early. But I was actually saying that it feels weird this week to actually have to wait for the races, because usually they're either I'm like having to wake up for them, or like they start as like right as the day is getting going. So I don't like it. Just is a part of my morning routine, and having to wait until basically lunchtime it's been interminable some of these days. Like, come on, guys, let's get it going.
And it throws you off, right? Because I was up, early at a time that normally you'd watch, and then you get distracted with doing stuff with the kids or whatever it was, and then all of it's like, oh, I have to turn on the TV, and So,
it was hard yesterday, especially because, like you said, it was a Saturday. I had other things, like I was playing with the kids, and I was like, oh no, like the race is going to start. I got to turn it on.
I know.
But yeah, so it's kind of a weird adjustment.
Just before I forget, I actually realized that if for some reason you're not a big fan of listening to our commentators, if you tune into the live zeroing before the race and you just leave that on,
does it stay on?
You actually get to stream without commentary.
That's amazing. So I think I'm gonna. Did you just find that by accident?
Yeah, because I was like, I didn't want to forget, so I just put the zeroing on, because then I was like, oh, I'll hear the start and then I'll come running in. But and it's like, oh, there's no commentary. I was to the point where I was going to text you, are the commentators off today? But no, I think it's just because it's the zeroing broadcast and they just leave it running.
There was something that they said today that was just one of the most, like, it was special even for them. And I almost texted you about it, but I said, no, I'm actually going to be good. I'm not going to complain. But, yeah, they've, they have their moments, every race. Again,
it is a tough job.
Yeah. You got to talk especially like during a sprint or an individual, you have to talk for like an hour and a half or 2 hours straight. And you're going to mess things up.
And I finally realized why they have those silences sometimes, and why they only come in like a minute before the start and basically get out as the race finishes. Because I think they work for Eurosport, and the tool that we use, I think, just buys their commentary, and it probably starts at the start and ends at the end. Because I think on Eurosport they go a little longer, probably.
Yeah. Well, and
then
tell
the silences are when they're either interviewing people after the race or when there's a commercial and that kind of thing.
Yeah. You could. There were a couple of points where you could tell because they even said as we come back, and I was like, oh, you guys were in commercial. That's what happened.
Yeah,
that's kind of nice. So, we don't have that.
First thought.
So first thought for me was and something that we've talked about endlessly this year. I think that we've had a lot of weeks where it didn't matter so much. I think this is one of the weeks where the wax definitely played a role. And for one of the first times all season, I think the French nailed it, and everybody else was playing catch up. Really, I don't think it's played this big a role. I mean, maybe like 2 other weeks this season, like the very first week in Östersund where the Germans had amazing skis, but
maybe, I'm sure there's the occasional team that has really bad wax, but this number of teams, that's
because I think just off the top of my head, I think the French nailed it. The Norwegians, they had their secret phone call that happened. So they were struggling at the start of the championships. They made a phone call to somebody who is not named apparently.
Was that in the news?
I don't know where it was. They announced it during the race. Yeah. And I saw other people talking about it online as well, not connected to the commentary on the race. And so who knows what happened there. But they seem to get things turned around about halfway through. But I think and we can talk about more of these individually, but I think the Germans especially, looked like they were in slow motion at certain points. I know that Veer complained. Yeah.
I'm impressed with Simone's ski times, because when you see her ski, and she's not one of the most, elegant, smooth skiers, but she seems to go so slow, but clearly she's not, but it's really odd.
Yeah. So I know Veer had some comments about how the French had found something and the Italians were struggling. The German athletes had expressed some frustration. I think the Swedes at points looked like they were struggling. So I think it's really been, as far as nailing the wax, I think the French did it, and maybe a few others, but that was my.
So do you think it might be that? Let's say the others just had really good wax like we've seen so far, and that the French maybe found something special?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah. Did the French just leapfrog everybody? Everybody else didn't go backwards, but the French leapfrogged them? That's a good question. I don't know.
Right.
Or maybe they're just better at these types of conditions. Like
could be.
Right? Because I think of in Oberhof, that's where Braise Boucher, she had 2 penalty loops and still won the sprint. And it was similarly warm and sloppy. So maybe they've got it pretty much for these conditions, and the weather lined up for them. Yeah. But just seems to be playing a pretty big role. And I don't know if we need to totally belabor the point. I'll probably hit it again later. But yeah, that was the thing that I feel like I've spent the most time thinking about that this week.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where we really have no idea.
Yeah, it's hard to know. What about you?
Unless, some people kick off their skis before the finish line, and you can tell that they're not happy.
Yeah, they let you know. It was interesting because Veer, she wasn't complaining about her skis. She was just commenting about how that the French had seemed to. I can't remember the way she phrased it, but they'd found something extra. So it seemed to me that she was impressed by the change that had happened for them. So I don't know, trying to read between the lines, it sounds like a situation where the French had a big change in the quality of their ski prep. But I don't know.
She seems off, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, right? She's had such a weird season.
Well, fair enough. But it seemed to... I don't know if something particular is going on, but she just seems to, like, degraded really quickly all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I guess we'll see. It's hard for me to even tell, because I came into this championships with not very many expectations for it, just because it's been barely seen her. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yep. What about you?
Other,
I've got plenty of things, but I just
Baiba. I'm sure we'll talk about that. That was amazing. No, the thing that kind of stands out to me a bit is how unhappy Justine Brézaboucher is. Where when she came back, and of course she won then, and I don't know what was the reason and what was or how do you say that? What was the cause and what was the effect? But she just doesn't seem happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's not enjoying, even though you could argue she got a gold in the mix, and then
silver,
she got silver today, silver and bronze. Like but she just and I find it a little bit with Jean Monod as well.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I don't know if I texted you when this happened, but if you watch the podium ceremony from the sprint, the women's sprint, Jean Monod got the bronze, and then Brézaboucher comes up and they had a really, like, they were clearly so happy for each other. Big hug, right? And just like super happy. And then Simone won the gold. And I want to preface this by saying that I am not privy to what goes on in the French team. We know that there's been some issues there with the credit cards and whatnot. But and Simone, I think by herself is just she is more of a lone wolf type athlete.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she had more of a just perfunctory hug with it was professional, but like a hug with Jean Monod and a handshake with Brézaboucher. So I wonder how much of it also has to do with just sort of lingering frustrations. Again, I don't know. I'm just I'm more thinking about it from if it was me and I had that, even if it was my teammate, and like we've sort of put things and we've been pretty professional about it, like I would still be kind of irked that,
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel sometimes, when I go to work, there's people I get along with really well and some not so much. And I don't know what their sleeping arrangement is. Maybe Jean Monod and Brézaboucher share a room and are a lot closer that way. Because I think I saw today that Simone and Chauveau were quite hugging quite intensely.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe just a click. Like you would hope that the whole credit card affair is kind of behind them now, and whatever, like that they can step beyond that, because you're traveling together and it's hard to avoid each other. So
impossible. Yeah,
I think they're handling it pretty well. Again,
hard to avoid each other. They're always on the podium together.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, no kidding.
No, it's been, and I wonder how much too. I think Brézaboucher, she's more, I don't know, she's just not as exuberant, I think. So I wonder how much of it is also that she's just, more contained. I don't know. Speaking of Simone, she has been, I think, clearly, this is going to sound really dumb, because she has 3 golds. She's been like absolutely unbeatable. Like, I don't think if everybody else had raced their perfect races, like there are not that many people who could have beaten her, because she just is unreal.
Well, and that we talked about that before, the comfort in the shooting range.
Yeah.
Right? No matter, like, because I think Brézaboucher tried to play a bit of a game today with going into the range first on that, was it on the third shooting?
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Didn't matter. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that it didn't matter. Simone, 5 for 5 in 17 seconds. I think it was 17.7. But yeah. And
that
then
must be so frustrating. Even, in advance that she does that, but still, like, you're getting ready, you're doing your normal rhythm, and you're just shouldering your rifle and stuff, and then you hear the first shot already.
Yeah. Well, they came in side by side a couple of times, and
right.
I remember in the first shooting, Simone, like they both went 5 for 5, and Simone got off, and she had like a 6 or 7 or 8 second lead that Justine had to chase back down again.
Yeah.
It's like, how you must be so frustrated. You just skied this entire lap with this woman. You went 5 for 5, and you still have to chase down an 8 second lead. Like that's just like,
I know,
And
well, I think it's becoming a bigger thing. The whole range time, shooting time.
Yeah,
because the gaps are, they're getting big pretty fast.
I mean, that's where she won the sprint. I mean, her shooting time, her prone shooting time was 24.4, and her standing was 17.7. And I wonder how much of like Tangervold and her sort of mini meltdown with the standing shoot in the sprint was like, I have to be perfect. Like there is, and she knew she had to go 10 for 10, but she also knew she couldn't lose any time on the range. Like I don't know. So you just put a lot of pressure on people when you do that.
Yeah, and of course it's also like today with Boucher, if you're side by side and you hear the shooting and she misses two, then you can be like, huh, well,
yeah, there you go.
That's on you,
fun.
But
it's a risk she runs, and it's paying off right now. It doesn't always. And I think she has always been an up and down athlete. Like I've called her boomer bust in the past, or how she was boomer bust in the past. Excuse me, and she's evened that out, and her she still does have low points. They're just not as low. You just have to if you're a competing athlete, you just better take advantage of those low points, because when she's on, man. And she's not. The crazy thing to me is that she's not slow. Like as a skier, it's not like
not at all.
It's not like she makes up all this time on the range and then she loses it again on the skiing. Like she's also one of the fastest skiers.
Well, and I think that was always one of her strengths, right?
Yeah,
her fast skiing was always the shooting and the confidence, I guess.
Yeah, I think I've said this before. I am in awe of her as an athlete. I think that
she's growing on me a little bit, I must say.
Yeah. It is an unbelievable thing. It almost feels like perfection. Like when she is at her best, like it almost feels like the ideal of a biathlete, right?
Yeah.
You're fast, you have confidence, you're hitting your shots, and you're going like at an unbelievable speed. She can race in a tactical manner that I think puts a lot of pressure on people. So
she reminds you a little bit that way of Fourcade.
Yes,
he was always playing mind tricks and had that confidence of you can try whatever you want. I don't care. I'm gonna just beat you anyway.
Yes, yeah. It was It's impressive
cool
to watch.
See.
And I also can't help but say, like, I hope she has a couple more misses in the other races. I want to make it more fun. Like when she's, it's sort of like JT Bo from last season.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
it's getting boring.
Yeah. Right. You're just too dominant.
But in the end, she had a lead, but it's not like, she was by herself the whole race. Right. So
no. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. But yeah, it's really impressive. And looking beyond this week, like I fully expect her to be in contention for medals every race the rest of the way. But overall globe, she looks pretty good for it. Yeah.
It's unfortunate for her that these World Championships don't count, but
I know.
I think, seeing her now combined with how Tandervold is
very shaky.
Basically has been since you declared your
I know. I declared my undying
number one
affection
spot
for her.
on your love list.
Yep. Yeah, it's like she heard that and she goes, "Oh man," and she got nervous. And the standing shooting is really, really bad. It's really bad.
I know. So
I don't know what else to say about it.
It's not that confidence is gone, and
because it was 3 misses in the stand and
I don't know if her confidence is gone, but that confident look that she had at the start of the season,
that's gone. Yeah,
it's
Well, and you can hear it in her interviews too. She's searching a little bit. She had just how many misses I think 3 in the sprint on the standing shooting, and then today I think she had 3 each on each of the standing shootings.
Yeah,
It's just a really bad percentage.
A completely different question.
Yes.
About commentators, going back to that.
Oh, yeah.
They kept saying that he was sent home during the Christmas break there.
Yeah.
I always thought he was, kind of a mutual agreement. Let's just take a World Cup off. And
I'm not sure, but that was my understanding as well. But maybe they know something else, or I don't know. But
and so you were saying his grandpa passed away?
His grandfather passed away, yep. Yeah. And then if you saw him
is that why he was emotional?
Very emotional, yeah. That's what it sounds like he said in the interview afterwards.
But he was like fiddling with his hand, so I thought maybe he had an injury.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, it might also be that he came into the lead for the last shooting and he didn't get the gold. But then, and then you told me about his grandpa, so. Yeah,
it's just, it's really, so he had 0 World Championship solo medals before this week, and now he's got 2. And to do it with, a heavy heart, you feel even, and, you're even happier for him under those circumstances that he was able to do it.
Oh, yeah.
But, so 2 bronze medals, nothing to be upset with. And the first half of the pursuit, he looked really good, right? Where he got himself all the way up into first place, and he had
Mr. Cool.
Was that? What did
Mr. Cool?
Yeah. He looked awesome. Obviously, didn't hold it, but it's fun to see it.
Talking about Mr. Cool, I know he missed the first or 2, not the first 2 shots, but 2 shots in the first, but. I find it interesting that Laegreid is, he seems to really take his time today in the pursuit. Even in the first lap, Bo kind of sped up a little bit and he didn't follow. He just did his own thing. And I think in the past, I would have expected him to just kind of follow along. And so, a bit of a different approach. And even today, it's, he wasn't going to beat Bo, but he was still worked out for him quite well.
It did. I was really impressed with his patience, right? Because he felt like he had those 2 early misses, didn't really phase him at all, didn't shake him off of his race, and he just did his thing and kept moving on up.
Yeah.
There's you were just saying like how Bo made his move and Sturla just didn't really seem to mind, right? Because he started out with, I think,
it wasn't really even a move.
He just, I shouldn't
not like
say
he all of a sudden, he just had a bigger or a higher pace, and
he moved around him is what he did.
Wow, yeah.
Speaking of, and this is just a minor thing. Did you see what happened to JT on the last lap?
Yeah.
Right? He had to go around.
I think the guy was just so exhausted. The guy that got lapped, you mean?
Yeah.
So he probably didn't, I'm sure he heard somebody behind him, but I'm guessing he didn't realize it was the leader, or he thought, I'm going to cut him off and hopefully stay in front of him. But I think he knew pretty well if it was JT Bo that it was not going to happen.
Well, I was like, my first thought was like, is he trying to slow down and not lap him? But I was like, he has to know he can't slow down that much. Like, it's not the very end of the race. Like,
yeah. I think they do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially at a World Championship if they're, 200 meters to go and they have a 30-second lead.
Yeah. That's why I was like, he can't do that now. But anyway, get back to Laegreid.
Yeah.
I was just like, he just had his pace. Like, he looked like, this is what I'm going to do today. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if it works.
I didn't have a chance to look it up. Was this his first major championship where he actually succeeded individually, or because I thought in the Olympics he didn't do great, and did he not?
No, he's got a bunch of world medals.
He does, eh? Okay.
Yeah. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individual or solo world championship medals before this. Yeah. He has actually here. I was saving this for later. He has raced every single race that he could possibly race. So that in the worlds. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I shouldn't say every. He hasn't done the single mixed, but so he's run 14 different races, and he's medaled in 11 of them. And it's including relays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm probably mixing him up with someone else because that wasn't even close.
No, but that's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is just a crazy medal rate. So, yeah. He's got a pretty stacked trophy case back home.
Yeah. It's still like this. Is this his third or fourth?
This is his third world
season. Third, hey?
Third world's fourth season because he's got the Olympics in there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously the sprint race he won, the extreme happiness that he had, like just that explosion of emotion coming across the line.
Maybe that's why I was thinking that. And is it right? Did he not have a very good Olympics last time?
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah.
So maybe those two combined made me think that maybe, because I thought maybe he was so excited that he finally got he beat
gold
JT Bow at the Worlds, but I guess he has done that before. But he was especially winning by that margin, and then. Again, I don't know if this was an intentional change or whatever, but if he actually decided to take a different tactics and it works, then
well,
were
you watching at that point live, like when it was happening, or did you already know? Okay, because I didn't know if you knew the result already, but it was like watching it. Like I was just like I had it was classic. You got the video up and you got the data center up, so you can watch the splits. And so I was looking at him, and you could see, like, if you looked at it, you could see where JT started to slow down on lap 3. And when he came off the range, and he had, I don't remember what it was anymore, but like a 8-second lead or something like that, going into lap 3. And I was like, man, that's going to be close because normally JT Boat, you'd expect that he could, but he fell off so much at the end of that. And if you watch the splits coming in, like Laegreid, his lead just kept going down and down and down. And then briefly, I think there was one split where Boat, like he had like a slim, like 0.2 second, like his time was 0.2 seconds faster. And then it was right after that Sturla, like I'm not going to say he picked up an extra gear, but it was like he maintained better towards the finish line. And
but he was still slower though. The third lap,
he was, I think,
but
overall
it was
he
more
was slower.
like
overall he was slower. Yeah, it was the last. Like,
but in the third lap specifically,
yes, yeah. So JT was faster by a handful of seconds, but not enough. Yeah. But that was wild. And
it's
I wonder,
the new skis, man, or sorry, the new bindings.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. We just spent a long time talking about that during our European Championship pod and second, third race of the championships, and it already paid dividends.
I honestly, we'll never know, but from the videos I've seen so far, I get the impression that it's not so much that they generate more speed, but they are more efficient, and if that just gives you that extra energy to squeeze out a final 500 meters, that is a lot faster. And then you win by 3.5 seconds. I don't expect those bindings to give you 2 minutes every race, but if it's even 5 seconds, you can see that's the difference between silver and gold, right?
What do you think?
It could be pure coincidence, but
could be, but it's also the best race that he's run in all season. Yeah, and how many times have you seen him have more in the tank than JT at the end of a race?
Yeah, not very.
Yeah,
I mean,
they don't go head to head,
maybe, but the last 50 or 100 meters. But
that was it. And I'll say JT Bow looked exhausted at the end of the sprint. No kidding. He looked. I have not seen him look like that. He looked toasted. Because he just collapsed on the snow and didn't get up. And I've seen him go down before, but not like that. That was incredible. But
and it's funny because we've seen him win races even in the sprint where he doesn't know what the rest is doing,
Yes.
But you can just, in his face, he's very confident that that's enough to win.
Yeah.
And you didn't see that today or in the sprint at all.
No, because he felt he had to feel horrible. I wonder.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't remember how far along Sturla was in the race. Do you remember? I don't know why you would.
I think he'd had his last shot or shooting already.
Oh, had he? Okay. He
I
must
think
have
so.
known,
but
like that might not stand up. Oh man.
I don't know, because Bo started 26th and Laegreid 50th.
He must have played. He at least had his first shooting in.
Yeah. That's 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah.
Yeah. But I couldn't be happy for Laegreid for that gold medal. Again, I just want to say, like, if you didn't see the finish, like, the pure elation on his face is really cool. So
yeah, and I wonder if he also knew that there weren't too many behind him that still had a chance to win.
He must have known that was it. At the very least, he knew he beat JT Bosso.
Well, yeah, that's a good start if you want to win a race, right?
Yeah. That was it. Speaking of, the sprint was absolute madness. It felt like I felt exhausted after that race because it started out. I can't remember. QFM was like one of the first athletes out, and he shot well, and he had a pretty decent time that he put up at least through the first shooting. And so we're like, all right, are the French going to do it again? Right? Are they going to have another good sprint? And then it just seemed like there was this whole string of athletes who kept coming in with really good times. And it was like, wow, here comes, whatever, right? Dalla came by and surpassed QFM. Jacques Land was in there too. Campbell Wright was throwing up a good time, and you didn't know how high that was going to be. Right. Roster Guyevs was clean shooting. And so, but then you just like later in the race, you had this next wave that came through. You had Samuelson and JT Bo, who were like 26 and 28 bibs. And then you had that third wave of athletes with Eric Perot and Christiansen and Laegreid. So every time it felt like, okay, the winner's probably in this group. And I was like, oh, never mind. The winner's actually in this group. And then there was that third wave is the one that caught me off guard. And I was like, because I was convinced, I was like, okay, these guys are probably going to be the podium. And then having Perot and Christiansen and Laegreid just come in and blow it up was really something else.
And what a result for Perot, hey?
No kidding. Yeah. 4th place.
22 years old.
I know.
But coming. I mean, Wright as well, like 21 years old, 11th.
11th, career best.
Also, shout out to Adam Runnels at 17.
Hey, that was a great race. Was that a career best for Adam Runnels? Or close?
I don't think
it was a career best, but it was, yeah. He looked really good out there. Mm-hmm. Nice day for the North Americans. But I was exhausted watching all these guys come in. Did you see Jacques Land? It was another race where he shot really well, and then he
was it the standing shoot of like 16 seconds or something?
I don't remember that, but he no, his third lap was just he was so tired.
Oh, yeah.
It's something about his training must be way off, because this has happened to him how many times this year where he just like has nothing left at the end of the races.
Well, but it's because every time I see him start a sprint race, I feel like he has diarrhea or something that he
I gotta be
wants to get out there as quick as possible. I don't know, like not to say that he would do better if he slowed it down a bit, but
yeah, that was something else.
Yeah, boom or bust with that guy.
No kidding.
Every single time, right?
He needs to run a super sprint, I think. Like, as short as possible, though. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, that was a wild race. I'm exhausted just thinking about it again.
What did you think of the women's sprint?
The women's sprint was we already talked about Simone, so I'll leave that. But just the French domination was something else. We talked about the waxing already. But I will be honest, I did not expect to see. I thought all four, excuse me, could get up there. Maybe I didn't totally expect Chauveau to be that high, but she clearly has proven to us that she has the speed. But I didn't expect them to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Speaking of Chauveau, just real quick, I feel she's young, she's got speed, she's going to compete at a high level, hopefully for a long time. But to finish fourth in both races, you're just a couple seconds off the podium.
I'm more upset for Preuss because that's her spot.
Fourth?
No, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those in the moment you're really upset, and then once the World Championships are over and you look back and you're like,
Story of the women's
when
sprint.
When did you start realizing that Bendika was doing so well?
The first shooting, because I don't think she was even on the screen, but I saw her come through on the data center as having an awesome time on the first, and I was like, all right. So talked to her briefly after the mixed relay, and in the mixed relay she had the third best course time, the third best ski rank on her leg, which is the leg 3. And I said, hey, that was awesome, and except her shooting was not all that great. And she said, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have had the double espresso before the race. She said her hand was shaking so much. And I don't know if she was joking or not. Who knows? But clearly she did not do that before the sprint, because 9 for 10, that was exceptional. Man, I know people. I saw some people saying after, if she had just hit the last shot, right, she would have won a medal, and she would have. But
well, yeah, but
I
then
think
then Baiba Bendika and Jean Monod also
exactly.
You can say the same thing, right?
Yeah, it just was. It was so. We've been fortunate enough to speak to her a couple of times, and I'm not going to say that we're like best buddies with her, but it's been nice to get to know her a little bit during our conversation. Seeing her do that, like, I just felt so immensely happy for her, just knowing her the little bit that we do. It was a really awesome thing for her to do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And given the whole context, giving birth 5 months ago, and not even sure if she would actually, hoping that she would make it on time, but you never know. And then to do something like this, it's
her initial goal of being back for the second trimester, and she makes it back for the very first week of the season, and then she ties her career best at the World Championships. I saw, speaking of people we've interviewed, Claire Egan mentioned 2 women in the top 5 that are moms. Has that ever happened before?
I'm tempted to think that there was a time where we had a maybe Belarus athlete and a lady from Sweden.
Yeah,
was it Forsberg?
I don't know.
I think she also had a baby and then came back really strong, but I could be totally off. But that kind of that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't even try to answer it. I just was so impressed by this woman.
Yeah. Well, and Baiba Bendika had a little more time, but
still,
even though I'm sure she wanted to win, but that's she's doing pretty good.
No kidding. Yeah, she's run 3 races and had 3 medals. I think you're doing okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But Baiba, and we'll talk more about the pursuit later. But I just want her particular race in the pursuit, I found to be really revealing to who she is as a person. So she starts out in 5th, right? And she, over the course of the first 2 shootings, has 5 penalties, and she fell down, I think, to 26th. And at that point, you're like, oh man, it was a fun story, but then she just goes wild in the last 3 laps. I actually wrote it down. Her course times of the last 3 laps were 11th, 6th, and 3rd, and she shot 9 for 10, and she got herself all the way back up to 11th. That's just, it's just like a persistence.
Never die attitude, right?
Exactly. Right. And she said before
But
that.
I mean, again, we don't know her that well, but can you even picture her taking it easy? Like,
no.
Does it matter if you look at pictures from her biathlon or from working out or from, when she's on vacation biking somewhere? Like, it's always full out.
Yeah.
Like, there's one of those people that it's either on or off. Like, there's no, let's do it 50% or whatever, right?
I know, it was so funny. So I commented that, I put it up on Twitter, and she responded back, I guess I just don't know how to give up. And like, that was so perfect. Like, she just doesn't know how to, know how to not go 100%. And I love that so much. So that it's been an awesome weekend so far.
I don't know how much, stress played a role.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like she's in this situation very often so far.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's even just for that, it's a great experience, right? This can all be a lead up to even better results. So,
hey, you predicted something a couple weeks ago, I think. And should we mention?
Yeah, that was for the single mixed.
I know. Do you want to mention it?
That Latvia would be on the podium.
Yeah. Oh man, that could really happen.
Oh yeah, it's if they both Baiba and Rastoguyev have the race that they can have,
it could definitely happen.
That they can be totally on the podium, and who knows, depending on how the others do. Yeah,
that's just an incredible thought. Oh man, so I am hoping for that more than anything else for this next week.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the sprint?
There must be something wrong with Elvira, like health wise.
Mm-hmm. I wrote down. This is what I wrote down. Elvira and Hannah no show. And I shouldn't say they no show because they both went in the top 10, but it never really felt like they were going to be in the race or in the picture. And I don't know if that's a ski thing, but Elvira does not look like herself.
No.
I agree.
Even though I do remember checking at some point, and she was still up there, but
what was do you know what her course times were? Her ranks
in the pursuit.
I'm looking it up right
sprint?
Now. Either one.
No, I don't.
8th and 16th. Yeah.
Which, for somebody else to be.
But you expect her to be
with that. Yeah. But for her,
I expect that to be like second or third or first. Well, I guess not first because Lompich exists, but.
The Czechs are not doing very well, hey?
No.
Fortunately. Davidova is probably doing as good as she would expect after the season she's been having so far.
Yeah.
But, she can be, it's amazing how the crowd, they're all still there and cheering.
They want
for
it really
everybody,
bad.
But they, did you see the, today in the men's pursuit, there was a Czech. He must have been 47th or something, and he sprinted to the finish still.
He was exactly 47th. Yep. Yeah. Jakob Stratecki.
That's cool though to just still acknowledge that all those people are cheering for you and oh man, the weather. I'm happy that we cannot see that it's raining unless they show the stadium with some lights in the background that you can see it. But that's I don't know. Maybe people really like it. That's the type of weather where I'd rather ski in -20 than this crappy kind of rain and you feel the water trickling everywhere. Ugh.
Yep, those fans, the athletes, but those fans like being out there packing the stadium and being as loud as they are in those conditions. Yeah. They have my admiration and respect. That's gross.
There was one thing. I feel so stupid. After that made that U-turn.
Yeah.
You know how they put like little branches to identify where the course boundaries are? And there was this one branch that was like a foot, like 30 centimeters inside of the track on the outer turn. And everybody just kind of went over it. And I was seriously wondering if I would be in that race, if it bugged me so much that I would actually slow down and pick it up and throw it in the side. Because that would bug the hell out of me, that there's this one little... And it's not just fell from a tree. It was like intentionally put there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was, a sprinkler or whatever, something that they wanted to make sure that people didn't trip over it. But the snow conditions are atrocious.
So did you hear that Michael Roche, he actually went out over the course, and did you hear him talking about this? So
he was talking about holes or something.
Holes, yeah. And I was going to say, I wonder if there was a hole there, and like that they noticed, but yeah, where it just had sort of. But yeah,
but everybody still skied over it anyway.
I know, it didn't seem to matter.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. Speaking of nations, you mentioned the Czechs. You know who's having a nice little championships?
Belgium.
Poles. Oh, Belgium.
Oh, the Poles.
Yeah, that was the Poles. Yeah. Coach Torgerson has to be very excited. Natalia Sidorovic went 16th in the sprint, which was a career best, and then 14th in the pursuit, which was also a career best. And Yakiela 23rd in the 17th.
Nice.
So we could.
Maka did not. I did see her result in the sprint wasn't great, I believe, right?
It was lower down. I'm looking it up. 46.
46, yeah.
Yeah. And then did she run the pursuit? 55th. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, depending on what happens in the individual, we could have 2 poles in the mass start.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't it? Yeah.
What a success story, eh?
I would be so excited. Yeah. And we'd have to have him back on to talk about it.
Oh, man. Sorry. As we're speaking, I'm looking at the Nove Mesto. Oh, this is Slovenia. That's a different one.
The weather?
Well, yeah, the one I'm seeing is like Monday 11, Tuesday 12, Wednesday 14, but that's Slovenia. So let me see.
It's not a whole lot different.
Really?
Yeah, I've actually got it. I got it pulled up if you want to hear it.
Oh man. 6, 7, 9, 8, 7, 8, 7.
Yeah. Well, and initially when I looked at it last week, the low temperatures were at least getting below freezing, but I think it doesn't even do that. Maybe like one day. So it's
yeah, and that's just -1.
Yeah. Yikes. So it's not really going to be much better. I mean, can you imagine what the course is going to look like come?
Well, they must be trying to just dump a lot of snow on.
Yeah.
But
good luck those poor workers.
Well, and to be honest, those poor skiers too.
That's true. Yeah.
But it looks like there's no rain predicted. Oh, on Saturday there is, but I mean that's so far out. But
yeah, it can change. Anything from the pursuits today that caught your attention?
Well, I did really like, because I mean, when you saw the results from the sprint, especially with the women, it could be a pretty boring race, and I think up to the last shooting, it was a tight battle at least, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the last lap for Simone was, kind of
Simone made it pretty boring for her for gold, but for the rest of the podium, yeah. But
it was and the rest, but also up to the final shooting, that excitement. So that was cool. And then I really enjoyed watching the men pursuit. Like,
yeah, that was a great race.
There's still so many people that were still in it, and I don't know. Yeah. It's and then with Wright doing so well, and who was the other? There was another. Hofer. How that he shot
Hofer,
clean,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So there was all these little things to be excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was I really enjoyed those races, and
yeah, me too. I was so happy for Vittozzi to get that silver.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, she ran. It was just a nice, steady, smooth race, right? There was nothing crazy about her, but
we just talked about how Simone is maybe not the most elegant skier, and then the opposite side, Vittozzi is such an elegant skier, and she seemed to be super slow, but clearly she also was. Well, none of these athletes are slow, obviously, but it's beautiful to watch. that,
right? Yes.
Almost effortless, even uphill.
I know.
And there's that one climb when they come out of the tunnel in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
And if you see these top athletes go super slow, you can only imagine how steep that really is, because you never really see how steep the hills are. But
yep.
I mean, at that level, when they're showing that much respect by going really slow.
I know. Yeah. Did you see there was I think the mixed relay was where I saw it. It was the very first lap, and you see all like the top guys going through, and then I mean, nothing against the guys in the back, but they're in the back because they're slower, and they almost like came to a standstill at part of that slope because it's just so steep. But yeah, no, just super happy for Vittozzi. I mean,
oh yeah,
she ran a great race, right? She got herself up to second, and even, I mean, I know that Justine, she had a little slip or something, but Vittozzi still won. She still won the race, right? That's part of the race. So I'm very happy for her. And then the other thing that really stood out to me was Preuss, because, and this is what made me really think about the Germans and the skis, because Preuss, she started in 6th, and she went 19 for 20. And she wasn't shooting slow. She had the 12th fastest average shooting time. And she lost 10 seconds on the 3rd place spot and just didn't move at all. And it was just, that's not usual. Like, she's actually one of the faster athletes out there. And to see her shoot 19 for 20 and it wasn't like a sluggish 19 for 20. Like, she just couldn't make up any ground. I mean, like, you just feel bad for her. Like, she ran the race. She and Vittozzi basically ran the same race, except Vittozzi was able to move from 7th up to 2nd, and Preuss couldn't go anywhere. And just, it's not. I'm sure it's not all skis, but because that's too convenient an excuse. But it's hard to look at both of them running such a similar race, and one gets a silver medal, and the other one is still in 6th place.
Yeah, and coming back to the skiing, I personally believe that the new Matthews combo did help out Laegreid on that race in the sprint, but there's plenty of examples where Matthews skiers didn't do any better. Yeah, both in course time and result. Now I don't know if every Matthews skier actually has a new boots and bindings. Yeah. So it'd be I could imagine to go back and look. Yeah, I mean, I think Kuhn and Doll. There was that news article that said that they were having the special bindings, but like someone like Emma Lunder, I don't know if she already got them as well, or.
Yeah, I would have to.
Which from here we wanted to, I guess, send our support or strength to deal with their family situation, and Christian as well.
I cannot imagine. I honestly, I can't. I have been fortunate, right? I have both my parents, but to lose a parent at any age is hard. At this age, especially, right? And when you're at Worlds and you're just don't know
you're away, right?
You don't know if you should compete. Should you come home? You're isolated. I guess she's got Christian there, thank goodness. But I am impressed with her for going out there and doing what she did, and I have all the respect in the world for her. So I just like you said, we'd send our strength, and I hope that I don't know. I hope she's able to. I hope she has good support around her, because that's going to be a difficult time. Also in the pursuit race, I wanted to mention her both for her pursuit and her sprint, but Anna Gondler's having a nice little World Championships. 11th in the sprint, 12th in the
She was right there, hey?
Pursuit. She was.
Until, I think the last shooting she missed 2. Is that right, today?
Yeah, she missed 2. Yep. Because I had seen her up as high as 8th. And then just had those misses, and fell backwards. But, the sprint was really great. The pursuit obviously was a good race, and she actually had a really good last leg of the mixed relay too. So, it's been fun to see her up there, and hopefully this is her taking another step.
Steiner's been doing good too.
Yes, for sure. So
Austrian women for the relay outsider.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun. You know who Hauser hasn't had the greatest championships. I don't think anybody's shocked about that. But I think that I wouldn't shock me to see Austria in the top 5, right, for the relay. And if they shoot as well as they can, who knows what happens?
Yeah, the shooting has just been horrendous, eh?
It's been really bad.
Like I don't recall seeing so many 5s and 6s and Lampage 7 misses and still coming in 28th. Like going from 36 to 28 with 7 misses.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Because she had the fastest course time by 18.2. And then
with all the penalty loops.
With all the extra penalty loops.
She skied about how many penalty loops did she have?
7.
7? So that's what? Over a kilometer skiing?
3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, a little less. Say 3 minutes. Yeah. And yeah.
Speaking of misses, can we talk about the Norwegian women for a minute?
Of course.
They're shooting today. So Tangevold, Leanne, and Arne Clive were the only 3. Knoten did not race. She didn't start. Tangevold was
sick, right?
Yeah. Tangevold 14 for 20. Leanne 14 for 20. Arne Clive 15 for 20.
Yeah.
That's and
maybe they should give that guy a call again.
Yeah.
See if he has a tip for shooting as well.
What I was going to say is the vast majority of those were in standing shooting. So I don't know if something changed, if they got some bad info on.
That would be quite the coincidence if all the wind was bad for.
No. I wasn't thinking wind. I was just thinking, like, did somebody tell them to change their site? Right? I don't know.
Can't imagine.
Yeah. Leanne had 4 in her last shooting. Arne Clive had 2, and Tangevold had 6 across both of her standing shootings. That's just awful.
But it is interesting in a way that they're all shooting bad.
Yeah. It's not even like one of them had a good shooting race. They were all bad. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on there.
In the sprint, Arne Clive did fine.
Yeah.
Missed 1 prone. But yeah, Lean missed 3 standing. Tandervold missed 3 standing. Knoten missed 2 standing.
That's weird. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening there, but just something to keep an eye on the rest of the championships and then also the rest of the season. And then before we leave the women's pursuit. Sorry.
Well, so it makes me think of my coach always mentioned, or that, well, in standing, there's people that are more like following a process kind of, and then, ending up at the target and shooting. And there's others that know that they're not solid enough to really settle on the target. So they're more like reaction-based shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And some nations really believe in one or the other approach. So just made me wonder, because they're also consistently bad with the standing.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if their type of shooting maybe just didn't work well with the conditions. But that's just a really big curveball. But could obviously just be coincidence.
Yeah. Looking through.
And the men did fine, right?
Yeah, so looking through, and I can only find 2 other athletes who had. Anyway, yeah, they were really bad, right? Yeah.
I chuckle because for the women, I sorted by nation and then see all the Norwegians, and then I was going to do that for the men's sprint. So you don't even have to scroll to see.
No, they're all there.
The 6 men.
They're right there. Yeah. Well, it's even worse for the pursuit. They're 1 through 5.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, and then before we leave the women's pursuit, I just wanted to mention Tuli Dominguez coming from 24th all the way up to 10th. That was pretty awesome. And Teresa Vobornikova gave the Czech fans something to cheer for, going from 32nd to 13th. So at least they had that. I mean, it wasn't the highs that they were hoping for, but it was something.
And Davidova from 17 to 9.
Yeah, Davidova. Yeah, I knew I was forgetting somebody. Men's pursuit was quite a race. At least I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was, you started out with JT and Sturla at the front. Easily could have seen a race, where they just stayed away from everybody the whole day, but that is not what happened. They missed right off the top and let everybody back into it because Christiansen and Dallas, Gavdal and Taribo and Samuelson all went clean, caught up, and turned into a nice little race.
Did you see what happened to Tarje at the last shooting? Did he just went all in and
he wasn't even fast, so I don't know. We've had a couple weird things happen with athletes this week where like the string broke or something, so they weren't, like, their shooting was way off. I don't know if something happened to his rifle is where I was going with it, but I don't know why it would have.
Well, if something happens with the sling, that makes a huge difference on the prone because you can't hook in. But
sure, yeah.
For standing, I know a lot of athletes, they actually put their elbow under their sling just for a bit more support. Maybe if your string's loose, then that doesn't work. But 4 misses is still odd.
Did you see? So the wind apparently shifted from zeroing to the first shooting, and did you see Campbell Wright adjusted his sight by 5 clicks? Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's quite an adjustment.
Yeah, that's. Let me see. It was like 2.5 centimeters, I think, if I remember correctly. I think every click is roughly the size of the width of a bullet. But I could be off there, but
pretty wild.
Yeah, and it was interesting that Laegreid adjusted, then I thought because the commentary was saying that he adjusted even like
a second time
more clicks. Yeah, but I actually thought he went back because you could see the.
Well, he missed, didn't he?
Yeah, you could see when he came in, the flags were like almost horizontal and all over the place. And then he missed a second shot, and then he missed a third, and you could see him take a bit of a breather, break his rhythm, and then he adjusted. So, and then the flags were down. So I wonder if he put it back where it was with the zeroing, and then he hit 2. So it obviously worked for him, but.
That was just it was a fun race. I think I mentioned earlier, Christiansen, mid race, he pulls away and felt like he was in a good place. And JT Bo was 40 seconds back. And anyway, just there was a lot of movement, right? You had the guys who ended up first and second halfway through the race were almost 45 seconds back. So it was just, it could have gone a completely different way, right? Like I said, in a different race, the guys who finished first and second and then repeated also in first and second, or I guess different positions, but they could have just stayed away the entire time, but they went backwards and then they went all the way back forwards.
Yeah, that made it fun, right?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
What's your thought on Sebastian Samuelsson?
That's a good question. He reminds me a little bit of like Hanna Uberg, where he's had some decent results, but I never really felt like he was in the race.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, and then he had a pretty bad mixed relay, right?
Yeah, he did.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. Today, what was he today?
Today he was 6th.
6th, yeah. Yeah, and even when but
his standing was
bad. Yeah, he started out perfect in the prone, but I still never felt like, because there were still other guys around him, I didn't think that he was going to do it. Right? It didn't.
Right.
He hasn't given me that feeling since like the second week of the season.
Yeah.
Did you feel differently?
No, it's almost like the whole Swedish team is just not themselves. And
yeah. It's weird because
like
last year at Worlds, they were awesome. Right?
but the whole season, it feels like none of them are themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like they're constantly sick.
Yeah, sick. But I mean, Samuelsson he's been fast.
Yeah.
It's just his shooting is just not. And it's often, right? Like, if it doesn't go well, you get frustrated. You start to try focusing on things, but that just maybe works the opposite way, and then it goes from bad to worse. But his shooting is just not there. Or, well, I should say excuse me. The consistency in shooting is not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, write that down.
Okay. No, right. Cutting out the yawn. You saw that? No, I totally agree though, right? Because they each have races where they hit, and if you look at their individual, like their shooting percentages, they're not terrible. It's just it's almost like they're missing the wrong shots. It's like they're hitting enough to have finishes that don't look atrocious. You know what I mean? Like they're not. It's not like they're finishing like 17th.
It's exactly like you said it. Like they never really feel that they're competing for the podium, or first spot, and that's not where especially Samuelsson and Ponsiluoma want to be, right? It's
right, yeah. So
they have the quality to chase the Norwegians.
Just today, the Swedes had 2 women in the top 10. They had 2 men in the top 10. At no point did I think that any of them were going to win, and that's weird.
Yeah. I thought in the beginning, when Hannah was shooting clean, it's like, could be a good day for her.
Yeah.
Which, top 10 is nothing to be upset about, but
yeah. No, I know. I know what you mean, but for me, I think it's gotten to the point where it's going to take one of them actually doing it to prove it to me. And it shouldn't be that way because they've proven it many times. It's just this season. It's been so long since I've seen them do it. Even when Samuelsson,
even the women's relay, just thinking about it, I'm already nervous for
it. Could be
for them.
It could be bad.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. Also win. Hold that thought because I do actually want to come back to it. I
wanted to mention for the isolated time for
yes, please
Claude, Fabian Claude. First or fastest, Strunsheim second, and then JT Bow, and then Lucas Hofer.
Yes, Lucas Hofer. I'm very happy to see this. I didn't know if he had so much health problems like the last couple of years, but
yeah,
it's really nice to see him. And it's not like he's not like a world beater, but he's solid, right? He's just solid, and there's seeing this, there's no reason for him to retire right now.
Shot clean, yeah. And also, Philip Horn was, 17th.
Your guy.
And I think there was, I'm just happy to see him do so well.
Yeah. Yeah, because mid-season coming up from IBU Cup, he's held his own.
And I kind of feel like he has to still prove himself in a German team. And, from what he's showing, it's it's good. So
it reminds me a little bit of like Stromsheim from the Norwegians, where it's like he got up to the World Cup, but he had to prove he belonged there to keep a spot.
Yeah, and
not on the same level, of course, but yeah.
I really feel a bit that because he started so strong, that he's still on there. But personally, I would have probably preferred to see Sturla.
Yeah. I think you probably can't go wrong either way, but Sturla looked really good.
Fair enough, yeah.
He's looked really good in the IBU Cup, so. Yeah. There's somebody else. You mentioned Fabian Claude. You mentioned Lucas Hofer.
Tarjei Bow.
We
still hanging in there. I mean, he had the 4 misses in the pursuit, but still gets a 5th spot.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
And did you see his ski speed?
It's
Like
really
he was
good.
skiing with JT Bow.
Oh, that's what I was
And I
going to
think
mention.
he was at some point taking the lead. And
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. How cool was that fourth lap? Right, where they were chasing Christiansen, and I was like, I just had this thought of like, these two guys have skied how many laps together in their lives? Not necessarily in races, but just growing up and training.
Well, I would assume that they often train together. I don't know if that's the actual.
And I
scenario,
never know which one is going to be the last time we see it. You know, I don't think Chauveau is about to retire.
Well, I mean, I'll be the first to admit that was it 2 seasons ago that.
Yeah,
I was saying that maybe Tarrier seems the kind of guy to give up a spot for the newer guard.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's like, "You kick me off this third spot, and then we'll talk." But 35, man, that's competing against 22-year-old. Not really fair. But
I thought that was awesome seeing those two guys together on that lap, and they cut the lead from 16, 17 seconds down to 8 or something before the shooting. And that they've done things like this in practice, and like Christiansen is used to having those guys behind him, or but
right, yeah.
But it still was neat to see it, and you kind of wonder with a world championship medal at play, like having those two guys behind you, especially JT, like how much does that play into your thinking as you're going in for your shooting?
But I'm still always curious about the third brother, Bow brother.
Is there a third?
Apparently there's a third, and apparently he also did do biathlon, but
I had no idea.
Obviously not at the World Cup level. I don't know if he pursued it like to get on the team or if he gave up.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Like, you think you're pretty good, and then you have two brothers that
right.
beat you all the time.
One of them's the greatest of, well, I should say the greatest, but has the chance to be the greatest of all time.
What would it take for you then
to be the greatest? So that's a good question. So I think that he is the best at his peak. I think that he doesn't quite have the best resume. Does that make sense?
Best resume, like you think
he just doesn't have all of the. No, I think that Bjorndalen just has so many medals and so many wins that right. And I think that is part of it. Of that he was able to compete at such a high level for such a long time, and that's I think that is part of being the best, because he was able to compete against people that were how much younger than him and still beat them.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I still think that peak JT Bow is.
Do you feel he has surpassed Foucault?
I think he's I think so. And I hope that there aren't too many French that are listening at this stage of the podcast, but I think that he has,
Yeah.
I think that it would be hard. He has a solid lead, so this would be his 5th overall Globe. I'm going to anticipate that he gets maybe one more in his career, maybe more, but he'll be pretty close. I think he's going to surpass Foucault in wins and medals, if not this year, early next year. And anyway.
Yeah, you start thinking that those must be kind of the drivers to keep him going too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he wants to win the Globe again. I don't think he needs any additional encouragement, but still, that must play a bit of a role too.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. You just looking at your place in the all time, right? Yeah. Where's your place in the Pantheon? Yeah, I think I'm sure, especially for those training sessions in like August, that plays a role.
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep yourself motivated then? Before stop talking about him, I did think his approach on the standing shooting was interesting, because we've talked a lot in the past about him coming in and having really fast standing shootings, and it seemed like he took an extra beat. It was like, I really want to hit these shots. Or as opposed to doing the Julia Simone, like I'm just going to come in and mow him down. And it worked out. I don't know if that was intentional, if he just felt uncomfortable and it worked out that way, but
he at that point knew that Christiansen had missed twice.
Oh, I was thinking the third shooting as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, both of them. But yeah, on the fourth shooting, he knew Christiansen had missed, so he had that advantage.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yep. Also, I just want to point out that he had such a giant lead in ski time today that he was able to repeat his celebration where he got down on one knee and did that and still, finished first by a solid margin.
Yeah. Yeah, that tells you something. Eh?
Yeah. Did you see, speaking of celebrations, did you see how much he celebrated, like how happy, how excited he was when he won? I don't remember him doing that all the time last year, but it was a pretty loud roar.
I feel that he's always like that at World Championships or like Olympics.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah,
you win a gold medal, you should.
Well, no, of course. But I seem to recall that he's usually like that at special events. So
yeah. Anything else stand out for you from the pursuit or anything else? You mentioned Belgium as being a team that's performing really well.
Yeah. No, they're doing really well. So
8th in the mixed relay. That was their best ever relay finish.
Mm-hmm.
Happy for them. And then I wanted to mention Amy Becerra from the mixed relay. She had a really awesome final leg. She was up against some really strong skiers.
Yeah,
she was definitely
couldn't keep up in the end, but
yeah. But did you see she didn't stop fighting? She almost
Elvira was, and she got back, right?
Yes. She started catching time back on Elvira. She almost caught up to her at the very end. So yeah, just so proud of her for that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was good to see.
Talking
about people that are not quite themselves, hey? Heartbreak is also...
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to... I had it written down. The Swiss don't look like the Swiss. Which is kind of neat, actually, when you think about it, that we can say that they've been at such a high level that they stand out for not being at a high level. But, Heike Gross.
For me, it just shows what a cool sport biathlon is, where you look at Vanessa. I can't think of her last name.
Vogt?
No, or maybe it's not Vanessa. The girl that we interviewed, and then now she's not even at the World Championships.
Hens?
No, she did really well last season.
Oh, Hannah Kabinger.
Kabinger, yes. And you're like, wow, she keeps this up, that she's gonna be challenging to be the best German, and this year completely not working out. And same with Hartwig. When you look at last year, you're like, man, he can start thinking about the globe if he keeps going like this. And I mean, he's not having an awful season by any means, but it's just not really a continuation of where he was. And there's just so many changes from one season to the other.
I know.
Which also makes you really appreciate, people like Ader, who are just consistently strong every season. Yeah. And Preuss is one of those two, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Ader, the commentators, this is one of the things, they asked each other, do they think that he was going to retire at the end of the season? And they seem to...
who's they?
The commentators asked if Ader was going to retire at the end of the season. And in my head, I was screaming, no, he can't retire, because then he'd have to get a normal job.
Yeah, that still sounds so bad.
So a couple questions for you, if you don't have anything else from the races we've seen so far.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Fire away.
Which nation will win by a smaller margin, the Norwegian men or the French women in the relay?
Oh,
because I have a feeling they're both
still
going to be
say
very
the French
dominant.
women.
You think they win by a smaller margin?
Yeah, more because I'm not too worried about Brisa Boucher and Simone, but and assuming that it's Lou and Chauveau. Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, it sounds crazy to say, but maybe that Chauveau is still young and unexperienced, but
it's a little bit different when you're racing for a team as opposed to yourself.
Yeah. like the Norwegian team just have no weak link, in my opinion. But
well, here's the question for you: who's going to be on the Norwegian team?
I would do Sturla,
Yeah,
Bo brothers, and Christiansen.
and Dala gets left out.
Yeah,
Somebody has to.
And I just think the relays that Dala has shown is just doesn't really seem to be his thing. Like I
I totally
don't recall
agree
him being
Yeah.
as strong as he is on non-team races.
Yeah, I totally agree with the way you would do it. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Because
Who
at
would
that
you
point,
put last?
Christiansen. I think you go with the traditional. What did they do? Did they do Sturla first? Sturla, Tarjei, JT, and
I
Christiansen?
think so, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think worst case scenario, is Tarjei your weakest link there? The way the Sturla's raced this week,
I suppose, but
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and ridiculous is who you can call up if one of the four is sick.
I know.
Like you don't really make the team any weaker.
Great, Dala. Great, okay. He could have 2 penalty loops and he'll make it up. Don't worry.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then the other thing I was going to ask was,
and also, like, who would compete?
How do you mean
with them?
Like what? Oh, what team?
Well, both. Yeah. Like, who would challenge the French women? Because I don't think Norway is going to be able to.
Just that was exactly my question.
In the form they are now.
Yeah.
Sweden, not all four.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really think of a team.
Germany.
Yeah, but they're also not.
Yeah. I honestly
like
Switzerland.
Unless they can figure out the wax and maybe
Italy.
Like, yeah.
Vittozzi, Veer. I don't think they're competing with France though.
Well, that's even if Weir shoots fast and clean, she's still her speed is just not.
I guess that's the question: is who ends up? You mentioned you threw out Austria as a sleeper for the podium, and I didn't totally accept. I don't know, man. They could.
They could, yeah.
Because none of these other teams are dominant. I'm just scrolling through the Ruhpolding relay.
I think it'd be cool if Czech Republic could, because they have the occasional success, right?
Yeah. Well, for Bornikova, Davidova, Jaslova, I mean, they could be decent.
Yeah. And for the men, I mean, you're thinking France for sure with, Perrault having, today was not as good, but, he's strong. Claude today, the best isolated time.
Yeah.
I think your weakest link there would be Jacquelin, right?
Yeah. I mean, he could have an awesome leg, or he could shoot you out of the race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Germany could be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Those relays.
Sweden, I mean, it's already hard, even if Samuelsson and Ponsaloma are really, really strong.
Who are your other two?
Well,
the United States, Campbell Wright. You need 3 more legs. Maybe Campbell Wright can do 2.
Yeah. Well, they've had some good, some races where they were in it for the first 2 or 3 laps.
I'm just scrolling through teams. And I am a little bit worried, man. Sorry, I look at the Canadian team and I see Adam Reynolds and Christian Gau, and then the next one was Trevor Kears. That just made me sad.
He's there?
No.
Oh,
this is the
okay. Sorry, I thought you were
relay.
looking at start list.
No, the Ruhpolding relay. Yeah.
No.
I just don't know who those. I mean, the margins could be just gigantic.
Yeah.
If the
many
first
teams will be lapped.
Because
I don't know. Like, I feel that these kinds of conditions, even regardless of if the French have found something or not, but I think the gaps in wax are going to be even bigger in conditions like this.
I think that's what we're seeing, and especially if you look at a team like, I'm picking one out at random, but like, I don't know, Bulgaria, like they're not going to have the same wax team that Norway or France or Germany are just going to have. Yeah, I mean, those margins could be huge.
But I mean, the good thing in quotes is that conditions are probably similar for the rest of the championship with the wet and man-made snow.
Hopefully you can figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No.
I think we
No, I don't.
covered a lot. Just scrolling back through the results real quick to make sure I didn't overlook anything. I don't think so.
Do you expect any surprises next week?
Well, I guess qualify surprise. Is that a non-French woman or a non-Norwegian man winning a medal? I'm hopeful.
Oh, like maybe single mixed relay Latvia.
That could be fun.
Single mixed relay Italy.
Single mixed
Vittozzi
relay
over or Giacomo.
Oh, yeah. Who would you go with? Would you go with Hofer or Giacomo? I think I would go with Hofer. The laps are short.
Yeah. Experience.
Yeah. He's shooting really well right now. Put him with Vittozzi and you could win a medal.
Yeah. Well, they got the individual to see how they're doing next week, right?
Yeah. See how, well, that could be the thing, right? If Hofer's not feeling good, because I think it's individual on Wednesday, single mixed on Thursday. So if he's tired, he might not go back to back. That'll be interesting to see who, if any nations sort of don't put their absolute A team for the single mixed.
I don't know. At World Champs,
you hope they do, right? Or who they consider to be their A team. Like Germany, do they put Preuss and Dole, or who do they put out there? Navrath?
Yeah. But then it's also just size and weight of people in these conditions, right?
Yeah.
Like Benny Dole, who I always picture as a relatively small and light guy.
Yeah.
And Narath is one of those tanks that, Yeah,
he's going to plow through the snow. He's going to sink into it. That's what I was thinking.
I don't know. You would think that
Austria,
makes a difference, but
Anna Gondler, and do you break up the dream team of Lisa Hauser and Simone Ader?
You kind of have to, right?
I would put Gondler in there. She's having such a great championships,
but I'm not sure. Like I haven't really seen the rest of the Austrians, but Ader the day after the individual,
she's probably not very good.
Which is probably his best chance for a good result. The individual,
yeah. You could do Leitner,
but although they've been pretty successful in the single mix, so
yeah. Ooh, Lotte Lee and Florent Claude.
Claude, yeah.
Ah, man, it's really, it is both. I enjoy it when they do it like this, when they split up the single mix and the mixed, and they don't have them on the same day. So a team like Belgium can compete in both of them.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's That's kind of how it should be.
Yep.
How about Kretschmar and Davidova?
Davidova? How awesome would that be?
I know.
The crowd would be bananas.
Yeah.
By the way, we're at the hour and a half mark. Can I just say how much I love this stadium in Nove Mesto?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's just this like wall of sound, and the fans are bananas. They've more flags in this stadium than any other stadium, I think.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, and it's probably relatively easy to get to, from Germany, but also from Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Italy. Yep. Like it's kind of in the middle a little bit.
Yeah. These fans are incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I did want to briefly mention the Junior European Championships. I hope somebody is still listening here, but our Mongolian athlete, who I mentioned on the last day, I can't even pronounce his name. Inkbot is his first name, I believe. won gold in the individual, and that is the first medal. The first medal by a Mongolian at any level of IBU racing. So
that's fantastic.
Awesome for him. Sondre Slettemark got fourth in the pursuit, so he is knocking on the door of the podium there. And Vasil Zagshov is a Bulgarian gentleman. He got in his first podium, or not his first podium, but his first flower ceremony. So just some
that's cool.
Very different places, getting some success. Mati Legovic is a Croatian who won the pursuit, so it's just nice just to see some.
Is
diversity.
that in Pokljuka?
It's in Poland, and the weather was horrendous.
Oh, okay.
It's even worse than Nove Mesto. It was like rainy and sloppy and slushy and
windy.
Yeah, just great stuff. And then, in case anybody's wondering, Anna Andexter went first over the weekend. So she
disappointing.
I know. Yeah, ended her streak. I think she has like seven junior wins this year so far. So we'll see.
Man.
Junior Worlds in a couple weeks. All right, man. I think nobody's listening at this point. It's just you, me, and our parents. So.
I don't think my dad ever listened to one of them.
I'll make my dad listen twice then. So, yep. I think we should get out of here. And
sounds good.
And we have a whole bunch more races. And I think we're going to be pretty exhausted by the time we get done after next week, because we're going to talk about next week's races, World Championships, big picture, and that'll be like a 5-hour podcast. So everybody get ready. All right.
Sounds good.
Time for bed.
All right, man. Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank Jordan's dad.
All right. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.